One of the most asked questions I get as a Giants partner is Farming Simulator, whatever iteration, worth it? And of course, with Farming Simulator 25 being the most recent iteration, it is always about Farming Simulator 25. In today's video, I'm going to explain why that is an extremely hard question to ask, and then I'm going to go through and give you the changes from 22 and 25 in a most comprehensive way possible so that you guys can make the decision for yourselves as to whether Farming Simulator 25 is actually worth it. Before anybody goes in, my short answer is yes. I believe that they have done enough to warrant buying a whole new game from 22 and 25. As to whether you think it's worth it, that really is something that only you can decide. The reason for this is that everybody's value, everybody's quantifiable reasons for whether something is worth it to them is different. Person A is going to be looking for different things than person B in a game. So, for example, some people look for amount of content and they don't think that a game is worth it unless you are getting 50, 60, 100 hours out of a game. But I would counter that with Brothers: A Tale of Two Souls, which is one of my all-time favorite games, and you only get about 4 hours of gameplay out of that. And so again, it's a very subjective thing to the person as to whether it's actually worth it to them. Some people want updated graphics, some people want way more mechanics, some people want zero mechanics and only graphics, some people want all the mechanics and none of the graphics, and some want a bit of both. So the only thing that I can really do, like I've said, is to go through, list all of the differences that I feel are standout, and then you guys at the end of it can go, this is worth it to me, this isn't worth it to me, I'm going to hold out for a bit more, I'm going to wait for a sale, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to be directly answering it for you, but I'm going to give you the tools so you can answer it for yourselves. And I hope, on top of that, it will allow you to learn something about the game, or at least learn something that you might not have known, and enable you the tools to make the decision for yourself. If ultimately you do decide that this is a game for you and you haven't yet bought it, you can go to the link in my description down below and you can purchase the game directly from Giants and support the stream. Let's jump into this from the beginning and give you some differences. The very first difference before we get here is that it is not available on last gen consoles. Now, by this point, I would hope that you'd already know that, but if you've got a PS4 or an Xbox One, you cannot get this game. Which means that you've then got to ask yourself, is the game worth buying a whole new console just to play this iteration? And I can't answer that for you. This video may give you the tools to answer that, but ultimately, that's a big ask. That's above my pay grade, you know? Once you got over that hurdle, you can then come into the save game options. Now, when you start a new game, there are some new differences from 22. You get more options. Personally, and I've said this many times, I said it in my first impressions video on my other channel, personally, I believe that they haven't gone far enough. And that is a sentence you will see me say a lot as well, is that it feels like they've made advancements, but they haven't made enough of an advancement, or they didn't go far enough with the advancement. They stopped earlier than they probably should have. What I mean by this is that you still can't do some things that a lot of us have been asking for. Namely, you can't start your starting month. You can't choose what starting month is. You cannot choose an exact amount of starting money. You are unable to choose the game speed and like whether you want crop destruction and stuff. You have to wait until you're in the game before that happens, and you always have to go through August first. You can't choose, you can't do a different month, you can't start at 4 times speed. You have to wait until you're in the game, which is a bit annoying. What they have allowed you to do, however, is, like last time, is to choose a preset. So you've got your new farmer, your farm manager, and your start from scratch. And each of these presets will change what you get. So you'll either start with more money and no loan, or you can start with less money and loan debt. You can start with the economic difficulty, and then you've got your start farm and guided intro tour as well. These are greater options than last time. Feels like they didn't go far enough. So you can choose between 100,000 all the way up to 1 million. You can choose a start loan. Now, a lot of people get confused by what this means. What a start loan means is it means how much money you are paying off of a loan not that you are starting with that extra. So you'll start with 1 million, but you've got 250,000 in loans that you have to pay as well. And then you've got your economic difficulty, which you can start on easy, normal, or hard. Other new options is you've got your start farm, so you can choose whether to start on a start farm or not, which is different from 22 because the start farm was dictated by the easy preset. And then you can start with the guided intro tour, which is a nice option to have when you start the game as to whether you need to know what's going on or not. So overall, a nice bunch of options. Again, didn't go quite far enough, but they have improved on them from 22. The other thing they've changed is the maps. So the starting maps that you get is Riverbend Strings, Putin Pantai, and Zelonka. So Zelonka was on 22, and they have made some changes to the map as well to update it. However, again, they didn't really go far enough, and there's still some things missing that I would have liked to have seen. But it's nice that they've got them in, and the new maps do come with some new features that were implemented from Silver Run Forest back on 22. Since the game's release, they have added some more maps. They've added Silver Run Forest, and they've added a ton of other modded maps as well, so you can get all of those good experiences from that. It would be nice to see all of the old maps coming in. I think they've released the Horsham Aggravation map as well, but it would be nice to see, like, you know, Elm Creek and Erlingrat and things like that. It would be nice to see those brought forward as well. One of the biggest and possibly most controversial changes to the game that 25 made from 22 has to be the shop and its layout. Now, Giants have said that they have done this because it is meant to be easier for new people to navigate. However, as a long-time member, and the feedback that I've received from many, many people is that it's really not. I have got used to it now, and I sort of know where everything is, but it can be a bit of a nightmare to find stuff. They have added a search feature, but it's not very good. You are best, if you're looking for something specific, to type in the brand over what it is. For example, if I go into search and search out harvesters, you will see that it comes up with 2 items. It will only come up with the Amity and the Komatsu and nothing else, which is a bit of a problem, especially when you've got tree harvesters, you've got your veggie harvesters, you've got your grapes and olives harvesters. You've got all your different types of machinery, but the search feature doesn't take that into account. If you were looking for a John Deere, though, you could go into your search and search out John Deere, and you can find every piece of John Deere in the game. So it does have its uses, but I feel like it could probably be improved some. Now, one of the things that they took away was the garage option here, which would show you all of your owned equipment. You can get a mod to fix that. I don't know why they took it away, because in the base game, you have to go to here to vehicles, which takes you to this screen here, which is actually found in your escape section, or your start button if you're on console. And then you've got your prices, your vehicles, hand tools, finances, and statistics. And they will all be listed here, and you will see the leasing cost each month, etc. So overall, they have made some changes to the shop and how it works. I personally don't like it, but I don't think it's enough to not warrant buying the game, especially with mods and things that have come out since and have made it better. Now, other things that they've done is that you've got your brands here, and they've added more brands, but in my opinion have given you less pieces of equipment overall. So when it first came out, it was very light on the ground. However, do not despair, because since release, Giants have added all of these mods. These are all Giants' own mods that came out with 22 and stuff as base game, which meant that you are able to add the pieces of equipment you want. And the main reason for this that we can discern is to save on file size, so that when you're downloading the game, you're only then downloading the piece of equipment you actually want to give you the best experience for you. We didn't have to wait too long to get a lot of this, and they are constantly giving us more updates and more content and stuff with each patch and new mods every time. So don't despair. If your favorite piece of equipment or favorite brand isn't in from the get-go, they probably will come, and they're free. That's the great thing, is with mods and content updates, they are free. They are added for free of cost, and we have got some new pieces of equipment with content updates as well. Now, you do also have your paid DLC. You've got the MacDon pack, which was a pre-order bonus, and you can buy that separately now as well. You got the Nexat pack, which was the first DLC, and then you've just had the Plains and Prairies pack that's been released that have given you more pieces of equipment as well, and in my opinion are pretty fairly priced, but again, it's down to what you want from DLCs, packs and expansions. The amount of equipment we've got is very varied, and they have added a lot of new equipment because of the new types of crops and things that they've also included in the game, which comes with their own mechanics like rice farming. Rice being one of the brand new crops and biggest selling features of FS25 brings whole new mechanics to the game as well. Not only that, you can see here just how good the graphics are compared to FS22, and I'm only running on medium to low settings right now just to make sure that I get the cleanest possible experience for you guys. The graphics are much improved from FS22. There is ground deformation and other such things that just really add to the experience of the game. But right now we're talking about rice, and rice adds something that we never had before, which is making your own paddies and then flooding them to get the best out of it and to allow you to keep a track of it all through growth season to make sure that you get the biggest yield. It also comes with some interesting things like not really having weeds because it's too wet and things like that. We also got new greenhouses as a result, which will allow you to grow your own rice to enable you to plant them next season. Now, don't worry, you don't have to use the new mechanics. You can just use a planter and then add a flooder afterwards to irrigate the field, and then you can just use a normal combine depending on the type of rice you use. For the short grain or normal rice, you do need some new equipment. That new equipment being down here. So far, we only have the one rice harvester. This is the Siki HJ6130. This allows you to go through and harvest the wet rice. It doesn't hold a lot, it doesn't have a huge amount of horsepower, and it doesn't carry a lot, but it is pretty cool, and it is new piece of equipment that allow you to do a whole new crop. New crops with FS25 are red beet, carrots and parsnips, which were the DLC, the last DLC of 22. Then we've got green beans, peas, spinach, your rice and long grain rice. And then you've also got things from the greenhouses, including garlic, spring onions, mushrooms, and Napa cabbage, which allow you to make new produce. So if you look here in the prices, you will see that we have a whole boatload of new things in here as well, including buffaloes, because we can now make buffalo milk and mozzarella. You've got your canned peas, carrot soup, carton rolls, cement bricks and bags, because you can actually utilize your stones now. You've got your chili peppers. You can make enoki. You can make your different flours. So you've got rice flour and normal flour. You've got goat's milk because they introduced goats with the new animals in the game. You've got bottled milk over normal milk, so it gives you an extra produce before you can send it to like a bakery or anything. Got your noodle soup, you've got your oyster mushrooms, you've got loads of different new things and productions to allow you to make more money on the farm, which I think is fantastic. Anything that gives you more things to make is good, and it adds that mechanics to the game. It gives you a greater experience for your time, and I think that the new crops and mechanics are definitely going to be some of the biggest selling points of whether it's worth it for you or not. You're going to have more things to put in your fields, which means you're not going to run out of things to do or find yourself planting the same things over and over again. Other things they've done with the price is that they have actually reduced the amount of money you get for silage. So this is something that's new. Obviously in 22, silage was the big go-to to make as much money as possible, and now that is simply not the case. Silage is still worth a fair amount, but it's worth about half of what it was in 22. So do bear that in mind if you're coming in and thinking you're just going to do a load of grass work to make as much money as possible. Not really the case. It was about £400 to £500 per thousand in 22, and now it seems to be around 360 to 350. Bearing in mind this is a start save, which I think I'm on easy or normal economy. If you go on hard, it does change it a bit more as well. Other things you've got, you can make rope now and stuff. And the other thing that you've got is you've got your mission-based produce to buy and to make, like your wood and your stone and cement and things to go into on Hutenpantai, the temple. So you've got your temple. And basically, this is a big building construction that will give you lots of money and an achievement for completing. 2 of the base game's maps have this, and I haven't seen any modded maps that have implemented this feature yet. I believe that the Silverrun Forest map that they brought in have the same sort of objectives. So if you played Silverrun on 22, you will know what we're talking about. Basically, you bring the required materials here and it will build a temple, and then you will be able to place your collectibles and things, and you will see them all that are placed around the map on this temple here, which will give you a really nice sense of accomplishment, and it gives you, like I say, a mission-based thing to do. Really like this feature, and I would love it if more modded maps that were coming out would implement it as well. They have also changed the way that contracts work in 25, and in my opinion have made them much, much better. There are still things that they don't have, and you can again get mods to rectify that. Namely, Better Contracts mod is one of the best mods and first mods you should be adding to your farm now that it's in the game. They have increased the contract frequency, which means that you very rarely run out of things to do even in winter, although there still aren't that many winter contracts. If any, you still only get ploughing and cultivating and your wood transport, deadwood if there is a forest on your map, and stone picking. But it is improved from 22. You often found in 22 that you would go through the year with not a lot to do ever. There are a few things that I have noticed where they will give you 2 fertilizing contracts within the same month, which doesn't really make much sense. And me personally, I find it very hard to get sowing contracts. However, hoeing and weeding contracts are incredible. They have improved the value of those tenfold. Fertilizing is still really good. Stone picking is kind of worth it now as well, because you get more stones than you would on a normal field. Each of the people that give you the contracts are people that you can go and talk to on the map. They are NPCs that you can go and interact with, which is something new that they've introduced as well. And there are actual consequences, and it will show you what the consequences are for not completing a contract or for mucking a contract up. Namely, the deadwood and wood transport, if you screw these up, it will cost you £2,000 per tree that you mess up. So do be careful, otherwise you can end up paying to whoever is giving you the contract more money than what they were giving you originally, which is less than ideal. Your productions are all found on one screen. This makes it much easier for you to locate everything and figure out what it is you need to do. I think that it is laid out much better, and the graphics of everything is nicer. It tended to be quite small on the screen in 22. Not only that, you can look at the available productions on the map you're on. So you don't have to wander around and try and find it on the map to see where it is, to see if you can buy it, see what you get with it. It also shows you what it makes per month, so you don't have to guess. This is huge. This is such a nice quality of life feature that they brought in and added and expanded upon from 22. So from here you can visit the place, see how much it is, and buy it. And you can then also just go to your own once you bought it to see what it is that you've got, how you need it, set it up for distributing, etc. Again, they didn't quite go far enough. You still only have storing, distributing, or selling, and if you set it to store, it will spawn pallets. There is a mod that you can get to stop that from happening again, which is nice. But overall, it is a vast improvement on previous iterations of the game. They have also changed animals. As previously mentioned, we've got new animals in the game, and you can see them develop from babies all the way up to adults. When they're in the pen, they move, they act, they have personalities, which is really good. They've added much better AI on the animals than they have the drivers. What you do see on here is you see the gestation period, you see the information, and you can see which ones produce milk and which ones don't. And then you've got your pigs. We've got sheep and goats. The sheep and goats go in the same pen. You've got your horses, and you've got your chickens. Still waiting for ducks to be added to the game. But overall, they have got a nice selection of animals. They have increased on it, and they've made the animal husbandries just much better in general. To further expand on this, we have the new construction mode. Now, this allows you to make rice paddies. You can put all of your buildings down. You can put your animal pens down, and it is a much better system. However, they still haven't sorted out the leveling process, and you can still end up putting a building down and ending up with a vertical piece of cement or whatever that stops you actually accessing that building. So you do have to be aware. What they have done is they've allowed new and better customization options. What I mean by this is certain buildings, sheds namely, if you look here and you see that we have some extra options for this shed. If I come out here and press F, you can see that I can add solar panels to it for an extra £32,000. This means that I can put a shed down and gain passive income. Not all sheds or buildings have this, but there are a lot of them, and mods have come in that have this option as well, allowing you to make the most out of your buildings. Not only that, we have your animal pens here. Now, the cool thing about the animal pens is you can make your own pastures. This is something that a lot of people wanted from 22. And what this means is you can place your basic building down. And if we rotate it here in the center, and then it will ask you if you want to customize the fence. You hit yes. And then depending on how much money you've got, which obviously we don't right now, you can basically put a point all the way around, and then you can connect it back up. And once you've done that, you will then be able to ask if it wants a pasture, and this pasture will feed your cows, it will feed your sheep, and it will allow you to better maintain easier your animals, because you're not going to have to do as much grass work immediately. Obviously, you can make bigger pastures for your chickens and your pigs, and all that will do is allow you to have more animals in that pen, which is nice. They have very much improved a lot of things about the building. There are still some things I would like to see improved and some things that really don't make much sense, but on the whole, this is much, much better. The last set of changes that I feel are important enough to mention are the actual settings themselves. So, like I say, it would be nice if you could do a lot of this at the very beginning when you are making your game save, but you've got all of your old options as well as some new ones. New ones generally being disaster, which you can have on or off, which is your tornadoes and your snow and your hail and things. You've got your periodic plowing, you've got new dirt options, and you've got better AI options as well. And then obviously when you've got your precision farm, you've got realistic spread and spread dependent or speed dependent application. Not only that, they've also added graphic settings in the game now, which is something that a lot of us have been asking for a long time. However, what I will say is that I've noticed that generally you still have to sort of reset your game once you've made the settings, because they don't always sort of catch up. But this is a huge improvement from 22, and I will say that we didn't get it from the get-go. It has only recently been added in. You've got your devices here, so you've got all your different axes and things of your wheel and your joystick and things like that. This game has been vastly improved from 22, and I am very, very happy with it. So there you have it. You make up your mind as to whether you think FS25 is a greater value proposition than FS22. Better graphics, more gameplay options, more mechanics, just overall a better system in my opinion. However, it is very subjective of me to think that, so it's really down to you whether you think all of the changes they've made warrants the price for a new game. I hope this video has helped you, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Ciao, ciao.